Good morning. Welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. I'm Krista Yoakum, your chair. To my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Sean Flowerday. To my far right, Commissioner Roma Amundson. To my left, Commissioner Rick Vest. And to my far left, Commissioner Matt Schulte. Please recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, will you please begin the meeting?
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meeting Act is located on the wall of the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, all written materials to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing from the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1, minutes. Approval of the minutes from the Board of Commissioners meeting held on April 25th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Seeing no discussion, please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is claims. Approval of the claims processed through May 2nd, 2023.
Move approval of the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 3 is a special presentation, the Commissioner's Award of Excellence for March 2023 to Amy Zinsmaster, County Treasurer, in the category of Customer Relations. And I'll go ahead and read her letter. Amy Zinsmaster, Motor Vehicle Clerk 2 with the Lancaster County Treasurer's Office, has been selected as the Commissioner's Award of Excellence winner for March 2023. Zinsmaster has worked for the Lancaster County for 1 year. She was nominated by Eliza Perez-Senek in the category of Customer Relations. In her nomination, Perez-Senek states, Amy Zinsmaster is a one-of-a-kind employee, colleague, and overall human. She is selfless, and whether she knows it or not, she boosts morale in the office with these extra miles she goes for her team. Amy is supportive of others and is always willing to learn new skills, review paperwork, process new information, and apply her experience to the public. There is no specific time frame I could point out to regarding her customer service skills. She's helped change the way people feel about going to the DMV, and she's always there to offer support and resources to customers. Whether she's distracting kids or de-escalating customers, Amy always goes above and beyond to make sure people feel good about their transactions. I think we should create a new category for people like Amy who are amazing humans and have a great impact on morale. Our employees are what make the county such a special place, and Amy is a perfect example of that. For these reasons, we are pleased to award Zinsmaster the Commissioner's Award of Excellence for the month of March 2023.
Rachel Garver, Lancaster County Treasurer. I just want to say I'm really pleased to have Amy get this award. She's done a fabulous job. She's not been with us all that long. We have longer term people, but she's done a fabulous job. And Lisa has been so gracious to also nominate her because she sees what an outstanding person Amy is. And really thankful to have Amy on the team, and very thankful to have such a wonderful team of employees in the treasurer's office. It's just, I just feel very lucky and very honored that I have such a wonderful staff, and that we have Amy here with also Elisa and Selvin, the manager for motor vehicles. So very pleased, and say thank you to Amy. And I don't know, Selvin, if you wanted to say anything.
Pretty much you cover everything. Amy, like Rachel said, hasn't been here that long. However, she is a exemplary employee. What I tell her is that I wish I could clone her and have many more Amy's. But not only Amy, but also Elisa, because that's what I want to see with employees at the Lancaster County Motor Vehicles. Show that appreciation for employees or fellow coworkers like Amy, just to bring the whole office together and work as a team. So.
Amy, it's my honor to get to present you with this award. Very much. It's both as a Lancaster County Commissioner and certainly as a client that I think you've de-escalated at the DMV before. I can tell you that it's employees like yourself who are the public face of Lancaster County for so many people. You make it a warm place, you make it a welcoming place, you make it an accessible place, and I just want to thank you for the work you've done and your service to our community. You really are one of the people who just keeps our community rolling. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You have a few words?
Just a couple. I just wanted to thank Elisa, of course, for nominating me. I am so blessed to work in such a great environment, and my coworkers are amazing. So, thank you.
Well, it is quite an honor to be nominated by your peers, and I know that this is an office that runs well, has a lot of people with a lot of good expertise. Anytime I call for a constituent question or for I stop in for my own use, the service is always wonderful in this department, and so it's really, really quite an honor to have been nominated by one of your peers. And thank you, Elisa, for doing that, for taking that initiative, and for recognizing your coworker.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks
Yeah.
to the village.
Thank you all. We can proceed with the consent items.
Brings us to consent items. These are routine business items that are expected to be adopted without dissent. Any individual item may be removed for special discussion and consideration by a commissioner or by any member of the public without prior notice. Unless there is an exception, these items will be approved as one single vote of the Board of Commissioners. These items are the approval of A, Amendment to County Contract C-20-0470 with National Everything Wholesale, a network distributor for janitorial and sanitation supplies and equipment services. B, right-of-way contracts with the following. 1, Roger A. Hornung, Northwest 12th Street and West Rock Creek Road in the amount of $1,963. 2, Golden Link Inc., South 120th Street and Pella Road in the amount of $136. 3, JJD Farms LLC, Northwest 70th Street and West Rock Creek Road in the amount of $298. 4, Stephen Harms and Lori J. McFerrin, North 98th Street, in the total amount of $10,415. C, Notice from Lutheran Family Services Incorporated regarding a change of address for legal notices to be sent related to County Contract C-22-0567. And D, setting a public hearing for Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, regarding the Waverly Rural Fire Protection District conversion to a suburban fire protection district.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Our next item is the public hearing on the Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 23001 to amend the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan to add the major streets and right-of-way map and associated text.
We will now open the public hearing. Please swear in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and sign in.
Good morning, I'm Paul Barnes with the Planning Department. If you recall, we did have a briefing on this item. Recently, this is an amendment to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan to add the right-of-way map for major roads. This was a map that was included in the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and during the development of the 2050 Plan was inadvertently left out. So we're essentially adding this back to the document. This does apply mostly to the city jurisdiction, which is the 3-mile area from the city limits.
The subdivision code for the city of Lincoln does reference this directly. And so when subdivisions come forward for approval, this map is referenced for the right-of-way needs in those different areas. It does, excuse me, extend outside into the county's jurisdiction. And I'll just note that in those areas in the county's jurisdiction, it is a recommendation during the subdivision process. It's not the requirement for approval of subdivisions. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this item, and I'll also note that the City Council has approved this amendment to the comp plan. Any questions?
I see no questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We will now close. Is there anyone else here to speak at the public hearing? We will now close the public hearing.
Brings us to new business, item 6A, resolution in the matter of the comprehensive plan amendment number 23001 to amend the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster comprehensive plan to add the major streets and right-of-way map and associated text.
I would move to adopt the resolution, to approve the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 6B, resolution in the matter of installing a 55-mile-per-hour traffic sign, R2-1, southbound on South 68th Street, approximately 400 feet south of the eastbound off-ramp on the Lincoln South Beltway, N-2. 55 miles per hour is the statutory speed limit at that location.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here again. My name is Nam Nguyen, and I'm a professional civil engineer at LCED. I'm here today to talk about a resolution request that we have to install a 55-mile-per-hour speed sign off of our Highway 2 bypass intersection with South 68th Street. The reason we getting this request a lot is, number one is from our sheriff office. They say that they've been getting a lot of requests about not being comfortable to ticket citizens who are speeding, whereas the statutory speed limit is 55 miles per hour, and currently there is no posted speed limit right there, and it's also at a major intersection, so it's important to have a speed limit sign there. Also, we have been a lot of requests from a citizen that they're not aware of the speed limit in our county roads, which to me, number one is priority is our citizen safety. So we're requesting to add additional signage to our county roads. So any question is welcome.
Thank you for that very thorough explanation. I would move approval.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or other conversation? Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
6C is the resolution directing county engineer to conduct a study and the planning department to write a report regarding vacating a right-of-way near the intersection of South 91st Street and Nebraska Parkway, more particularly described as Exhibit A and located in Lancaster County, Nebraska.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ann Post. I'm an attorney with Rumboldt Ludke Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, which is Bill and Kathleen Rentschler, asking for this vacation of right-of-way. The ultimate goal of this process is to end up with a parcel of property that has commercial zoning. But unfortunately, this parcel, fortunately or unfortunately, is about at the apex of 4 different governing jurisdictions. That's the city, the Cheney SID, that is Nebraska NDOT, that is Lancaster County for the roads and right-of-way, and then that's the city of Lincoln for the zoning jurisdiction. So this request to submit this for the engineer's report regarding vacation of right-of-way is about step 2 in what will be a very long process, but it is a baby step towards that ultimate goal of getting that commercial zoning at this property. So for that, we appreciate your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I think the engineer's here as well.
You're from the engineer, I think. on this.
Exactly.
As you're coming up, I guess one specific question just to make sure. This is
not the actual vacation of the right-of-way. This is to direct the engineer to make a report as to what the vacation right-of-way would be like. Is that correct?
Correct. So this step is to direct the engineer to create that report. Then we have to go through the City of Lincoln process to get their approval. We expect that to involve questions of surplus property, of changing zone, of dedicating property for trails. It will be a very long process. So our goal with getting the engineer's report at the beginning of the process is to make sure that we don't get through that long process to be surprised by something in the engineer's report, because it'll be a long, expensive, multi-step process.
I'm still trying to wrap my arms around the possibility that it might be fortunate there for government agencies.
I think it's fun, but I'm one of the only people in the
Well,
city,
there you
probably.
go.
So,
We have both gentlemen here.
John Berry, Lancaster County Engineering. Yes, this is it's kind of an area here shown in orange, more this triangle area. This long piece is currently owned by the Department of Roads, Department of Transportation, and they're dealing with them also on purchasing that. This is to authorize us to do a study to see what else or what possibly interest we would have in keeping it or vacating it or actually selling it. This area currently does have roadway in it. It's a concrete turnaround area, and the county does use that area. They use it for when we maintain Cheney to turn around trucks. So there is some use to it that we currently have, and that'll be something that I'll have to discuss with Pam, John, and other things when we perform this study. Again, this is just for us to do a study, authorizing us to do the study at this time.
John Ward with the Lancaster County Attorney's Office, and I would echo some of the comments made by Mr. Berry and Ms. Post. It's going to be a little bit before the board sees the next step, the public hearing in this case, because we are waiting for the City of Lincoln's approval of the vacation, and that would be ordered after the engineer report and planning study that this that the board would order with a yes vote for this particular resolution. So it'll be a little bit of a while before it comes back around to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I would move approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the study. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte, Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6D is a contract with Coopert Appraisal Group for on-call appraisal services related to right-of-way acquisitions as requested by the county engineer. The cost of the county is not to exceed $28,000.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. As I've previously discussed with the commissioners, this contract is an on-call appraisal contract. I don't know why, but typically we've done it per parcel, which takes us a little while longer to bring them forward individually. What we'd like to do is have this on-call contract so that we can go ahead and get the appraisal when we know that that's necessary.
Yeah, I would move approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6E is an interlocal agreement with Norris Public Power District of Roca, Nebraska for the relocation of a district's facilities on Roca Road. The cost of the county is not to exceed $16,385.94.
Pam Damon, Lancaster County Engineer. This is utility relocation work that is actually outside of our right-of-way. So when we buy an easement or buy right-of-way, new right-of-way, if things exist in that location, now we have to pay to relocate them versus if they're in our right-of-way, they're relocated at no charge to us. And so this was a bit of a last-minute surprise to us with Bridge S-180. As the commissioners are aware, this corridor has a ton of utilities and a ton of very complex design issues. And hopefully we can get these bridges replaced someday, and then we can move on to less complex issues. But at this time, we need to relocate this line, and the cost is $16,385.94.
Move approval of the interlocal agreement?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 6F, recommendation from county engineering to award and execute a purchase order to Ace Eaton Metals for county culverts in the amount of $107,632.80.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This is our annual supply of culverts that we install with our own forces. And so I always am careful to note out that people think when they see this amount that this is the only cost to replacing a pipe by the county. Of course, we have labor and other materials associated with that. And so the cost of us doing it is still significantly more than the $107,000. We do track that on a per site basis.
I would add too, you said significantly more than this cost, but it's probably significantly less for us to do it ourselves rather than contract that out. Is that fair?
So thank you for the question, Commissioner Schulte. What we do is we look at the type of installation and the size of the pipe, and typically the more complex pipes are contracted out to contractors. The exception to that is emergency pipes. So if we have an emergency pipe failure, if we can order the pipe and get it in ourselves, because our main goal is to get that road open as quickly as possible for the citizens of Lancaster County.
I'll move approval of that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 6G, recommendation from county engineering to award a bid to Blackstrap Incorporated for road salt in the amount of $558,000.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. So this last year, it wasn't as snowy as usual, but it was really cold when it did snow, and we had a lot of ice. So although I'll say with our more modern snow removal systems, we use about 20% of the salt that we used maybe even 5 years ago. We did use significant salt. This is salt to go ahead and fill our salt domes up. We fill them up in the summer because the salt is cheaper in the summer, and when we need it, we need it.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 6H, recommendation from county engineering to award a bid to Van Dorn Valley Construction LLC for ARPA culvert maintenance at an estimated cost of $606,437.25.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. The exhibit I've placed on the overhead shows the locations of the ARPA Phase 1 pipe culverts. I would like to thank the commissioners for dedicating funding from the ARPA funds to our culverts, which are in dramatic need of repair and replacement. We don't think we're going to be able to get through all 4 phases of the ARPA pipes with the money that's been set aside for it. However, this is Phase 1. The contractor, Van Dorn Valley Construction, is a new contractor to Lancaster County. We have checked their references and verified that they have satisfactory performance and history to perform this job.
I move approval.
I'll second that. I'd like to make one comment too. If we look at the items that you just brought forward, traffic signs, right-of-way, appraisal, culverts, salt, we get a little glimpse into the wide variety of things that you guys cover in the engineer's office. So thanks for doing your best to improve and keep our infrastructure going.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulte.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6I is a special designated license application for Myers Wine Incorporated, doing business as Myers Cork and Bottle, for an event at the Spring Creek Prairie Audubon Center on June 10th, 2023.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6J is an agreement with David Almery for care and maintenance of Asplin Cemetery, Lancaster County. Will pay $50 per mowing, not to exceed $200 per year.
Good morning, Brent Meyer, Lancaster County Weed Superintendent. So this is the cemetery that we acquired this past year in the northeast part of the county, and Mr. Almery and his family have been mowing that cemetery in the past for the family, and they've agreed to continue to do that for us. So we're very excited for that. We have 7 abandoned cemeteries that we manage through our office, and we have people, I call them volunteers because we don't pay them a lot, but we have folks lined up to mow all of those. And I think that some of you know the stories, from Boy Scout groups to the neighbors to just interested citizens that give back to the community. So it's pretty neat that they're willing to continue to do that, and I would ask for your support on this item.
Great.
I would move approval.
I would second, and I would express our appreciation to the family that's doing this, and hopefully this will at least pay for their gas. There's some support for them.
The
Thank
community's getting the better end of this than they
Yeah.
are, so seriously, appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I
Thank
agree.
you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Item 6K is an agreement with Data Axle to provide a list of mailing addresses for homeowners in Lancaster County who are veterans or 65 years of age or older that may qualify for the Nebraska homestead exemption. The cost of the county is $1,686.
Good morning.
We're planning to do a mailing to people that potentially would qualify for homestead exemption, people 65 and above, as well as veterans under the age of 65 that may have a disability. And this is simply a list to accomplish that. So,
Has this been done before, or is this a proactive?
Not to my knowledge,
Yeah, this
no.
is a great proactive
Yeah.
step.
Certainly, we want our citizens to take advantage of this program.
Well, I think especially this year with the larger valuation increases, and of course, we don't know how that's going to impact taxes because budgets haven't been set, but what I found during informal was that when I talked to quite a few homeowners, they weren't even aware that this existed. So I think the need is out there, and hopefully we can help some people with some tax relief, so.
I'm going to move approval and talk to you
Second.
about this later then.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And I will be over to see you Thursday with a little bit more information.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Item 6L is a contract with Accurate Controls Incorporated to provide video monitoring system upgrades for the Mental Health Crisis Center. The cost of the county is not to exceed $48,540.91.
Yeah, I don't see anyone here.
No.
But we've had a briefing on this situation at the Mental Health Crisis Center. The system that was in place was so old that there weren't even parts available to upgrade it or to get it functional. And this is important. It's important for everyone who's residing there. It's important for everyone who's working there. So this was the right choice, and I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6M is a grant contract with the Lincoln Haymarket Development Corporation to promote its historic walking tour mobile phone app in the amount not to exceed $5,000 from the Visitors Promotion Fund.
Well, I got excited when I saw this because I've done walking tours in other communities and haven't done one here, so.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing the 15-mile bike ride, but I think this one's got some potential, so real opportunity, and I'd move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6N, a recommendation from the Joint Budget Committee for the 2023-2024 Juvenile Justice Prevention Fund.
Morning, Commissioners. It is my understanding that 3 of you will be abstaining from this vote, and I appreciate Mr. Durbin, your Chief Administrative Officer, bringing this procedural issue to my attention. The abstention should not count as a vote cast, and it has no effect on the total vote. It will be the votes cast. So if 2 of you vote, or even if 1 of you vote, if the 2 of you vote and there's a 2 vote in approval, the motion would pass. And if there was 1 and a 1 vote yes, the same situation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation.
Hi, Ryan Dvorak, Lancaster County Human Services.
Don't even have any questions?
Well, maybe we could just get an overall summary here, Ryan, just a snapshot of what we're approving, well, maybe approving this morning.
Well, this is the Juvenile Justice Prevention Fund. The committee meets and looks to award various nonprofits throughout the county. The committee's met and looked over certain nonprofits that are available for this funding. So these are the what we're looking at funding that for this year for the funds.
Commissioner, I feel a little bit like a slacker that I'm not on a committee here in this group. But somebody has to vote, so I would move approval of this recommendation.
I would second that.
Excuse me. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
I'm going to abstain out of an abundance of caution.
Laude,
I also am going to abstain out of some caution.
Yocum,
Yocum.
I also will abstain, and we are abstaining because we hold positions on these boards or have a relationship with some of these organizations. Please call.
Motion carries with 2 yeses and 3 abstentions.
Thank you. Presents a unique situation, doesn't it?
Brings us to item 6O, declaration in the matter of terminating the local emergency for COVID-19 pandemic pursuant Nebraska Revised Statute, Section 81-829-50.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Pat Lopez, Health Director. I just wanted to give you a little update where we're at, and I appreciate your patience as we've worked through some of these various areas. Happy to say that we've received the funding that we expect to receive, both in the city and the county now, and we're continuing to monitor what's happening at the federal government level, and here we still don't have any concrete answers on some things, but what we do understand is that the federal government is going to continue to offer vaccine, that health insurance plans are to pay for it, that Medicaid and Medicare are to pay for it, but we also understand that we will have vaccine available for individuals in the community should that need arise. We're going to continue to offer testing, free test kits for the community. They're both at the health department and in all the libraries, and other areas can cover those. We're covering corrections and other city, county, crisis center, other various agencies will continue that. We set aside $1.5 million in ARPA funding to be able to move forward, and we certainly would come back to you if we need to adjust something that we're doing with whatever remaining ARPA funds there are, because obviously responding to this community need is really critical. Just so you know, once you sign this and it becomes effective May 11th, some of the other things we're planning to do are remove the risk dial from the website. And if we have a large outbreak or there's something that happens, we will be able to bring that back. The dashboard will continue with some information on wastewater. I think you've all been seeing that. And deaths, cases, and vaccinations that are occurring. We'll continue to work with the hospitals just like we always have in the past. We're going to continue to work with our cultural centers, our houses of worship, our pharmacies and long-term care to assure that there's access to the COVID vaccine. In fact, I just had a call Friday from one of our pharmacies to see if we could give them some vaccine because an elder organization that cares for people over 65 had decided that perhaps they had an interest in getting their first bivalent vaccine, I said. So we sent off 600 doses of vaccine for them. We're going to continue with the website, but the link for the county and the city will come directly to the health department. So people in the community can continue to do that, and people will be able to continue to register online to get vaccine at the health department or just walk in. Depending on CDC has not issued their standing orders yet for 65 and older to get the next bivalent booster should they choose to. You have to be 4 months out. So as soon as we get that standing order, we'll be notifying you. So you can let constituents know, but we'll also do a press release so people know that. And we'll continue with our nurses that have been available before and after on the phone line to answer questions from community members. And I think those are some of the critical points. And we'll also provide PPE if that's necessary to various areas, just like we have, especially with corrections and the crisis center or two that I know you'd really be interested in. Any questions?
Thank you very much for being thorough on this and for your leadership throughout this time. And we're moving into the next step here.
I really want to thank you also for the amount of time that you took to determine what all the possible effects are of the emergency declaration being discontinued. And there were some effects possible, but you have been able to work through those. Thank you.
I think it's just really important. You know, none of us in our lifetime, we've had other pandemics actually with H1N1, but not at this level, involving so much and for such a magnitude of time. And I think it's just critical that our community members know that we're here and your commitment to continuing to support them.
Thank you, Pat.
No, thank you.
I would move approval of the declaration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further conversation?
Well,
Did
we
you-
could go on all day.
We
here.
could.
I mean, it was a very controversial time, and our community had a diversity of opinions about it. And yet, somebody had to be responsible for making decisions that took all the factors available to them into account and then make the best decisions available. Not an easy task. It took someone with a really strong skill set and knowledge base and personality. And I personally can't think of anybody who could have done it better than. I'm glad that it's ending. I'm glad that we've come through it and it's done. So.
And we have measures to continue to monitor. That's really important too.
Yeah, I think I and many people in the community would say that this ending of this declaration is long overdue, but let's get it done. So,
Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to item 7, the legislative update.
I don't think we have any items for the legislative update, so we can
Budget's tomorrow.
watch for that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Please proceed.
Item 8, public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business but not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, you can proceed to the announcements.
Announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, May 4th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, May 9th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live on LNK TV. LNK TV is available on Allo Channel 2 and Spectrum Channel 1300. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. LNK TV apps are available in Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Item 10 is adjournment.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Schulte?
Yes.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Best?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
The Board of Commissioners meeting is now adjourned, and we will open the Lancaster County Board of Equalization meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd.
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall of the rear of the hearing room. All written materials to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing from the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1, which is the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Best?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is the additions and deductions of the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the additions and deductions. Please call the roll.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 3 is the notice of assessed valuation changes for property taxation purposes. These are Pawasha Barksey, Red Capital Management LLC, and Smart Travel LLC.
Do we have anyone speaking on that?
Oh, here we go.
Little explanation of these.
These 3 changes are for last year and are due to clerical errors that we discovered, so.
I move that we approve the changes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the changes in these valuations. Please call the roll.
Schulte?
Yes.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 4 is the public hearing for the motor vehicle tax exemption applications for the Slavic Christian Church, American Red Cross, First Slavic Baptist Church, Redeemer Lutheran Church, St. Teresa Catholic Church of Lincoln, Family Service Association of Lincoln, Habitat for Humanity of Lincoln, and Innovative Blood, doing business as the Nebraska Community Blood Bank.
We will now open the public hearing on these motor vehicle tax exemptions. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on these?
I'll just swear you in.
My right hand?
Yeah, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and sign in.
I'm Joan Casey. There are 3 of us that worked on what I'm about to present. Doug Carlo, Richard Oxley, and myself. Doug is standing beside me, and I'm speaking on behalf of both of us, and I hope you'll allow me the 10 minutes for the 2 of us. I've been a CPA for 30 years. I taught statistics at the college level and have assisted componentizing real estate. We are here because the 2023 assessed values are unfair, inequitable. They're not tied to the market, and they violate the taxpayers' rights to have fair.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to interrupt. You're speaking on these motor vehicle tax exemptions? Or you're
No,
speaking on?
I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
okay.
got out of place.
You're okay.
You're
We do
fine.
want to hear you. I just wanted to be sure
Well,
that we have you on the right place
we're in
on
the
the
wrong
agenda.
spot.
Public comment is
So we'll
two
just
items
go
down.
sit back
Yeah,
down.
this is specifically on
Okay.
these motor vehicles. I know that can be confusing. So if you're not speaking about the motor vehicle exemptions, we will close this hearing, and then we'll come to the point where you could speak.
Okay,
Question's gonna be, is she still sworn in, or? did she have to-
Oh, good question.
We've got
Procedural
John.
question.
We've got John.
Close the hearing.
Okay, so we will now close the hearing on the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Move approval of the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes, yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Best,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
All right, motion carries 5-0. Item 6 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items related to the County Board of Equalization business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Appropriate time, and we're glad to see you. Let's get a ruling on whether you're still sworn
And
in.
if yes, and you will be still sworn in. I would just
Thank
remind
you.
you that you're still under oath. But I would make one preliminary comment that it is the board's discretion whether to allow a full 10 minutes. It's not something we typically do, but it will be up to the board in this
Right.
case for that. That's
Five
the
for me
only
and
thing.
5 for her.
That's the only thing I want to
She's
address.
just gonna do the speaking.
Okay.
I would hope that it wouldn't take the whole 10 minutes, but
Make it fast.
Do we have to have a member of the assessor's office in here? I thought the member of the assessor's office had to stay throughout Board of Equalization.
Okay.
I think
Because
Leslie just went together.
given that it's so germane to their work,
We want the assessor to hear this as well.
so
with us.
if you'd just be patient with us one more,
This doesn't cut into your time.
bring them back.
Sir, did you say that
Yeah,
as
I
well?
think that's what Leslie was doing. Thank you for your patience, and you may proceed.
Thank you.
I'm Joan Casey, and I've been a CPA over 30 years. I taught statistics at the college level, and I have assisted with componentizing real estate. We're here because the 2023 assessed values are unfair, inequitable. They are not tied to the market. They violate taxpayers' rights to have fair and equitable assessment. The following is only a brief discussion of my work. Page 2 shows authoritative rulings. The Department of Revenue states that there's a consistent relationship to the market value. And they give an example where the properties are, quote, assessed at the same percentage of market. You have the responsibility to ensure the properties are fairly and impartially equalized. And the last point, the county assessor states that they use the sales comparison approach. And under that approach, each componentized item is based on market-derived amounts determined based on multiple regression analysis, and I'll talk more about componentizing in a bit. As I see it, page 3 shows the report card for the assessor's office. The chart is from the 2023 reports and opinions provided by Turk, except that I added the yellow column. The yellow column calculates the percentage the assessed value is of market value. This chart shows $149,000 houses are overassessed, 10% above its market, yet $1 million homes are underassessed, 10 million below its market. That's a 20% swing. How is the 20% swing in compliance with the Department of Revenue statement that the properties are assessed at the same percentage of market? So next I analyze the componentizing part of the sales comparison approach. The componentizing is when both the comparable house and the assessed house is broken apart into the components, and those components are valued at market-derived amounts through the use of multiple regression analysis. I would expect that the increase in the value assigned to the components from 2021 to 23 would be relatively in line with any increase in the overall market. I looked at Redfin for Lancaster County, Zillow for Lincoln, and the U.S. Census Bureau for the Midwest. All state the housing market increased 20% over the same 2-year time period as the Turk report. I then used the 20% increase in the overall housing market to compare against the increase in the assessor used for the componentized items in the turn of the century market area. You can see on page 4, highlighted in red, all the increases and the decreases the assessor made over the same 2-year time period. And those red highlights show there's no relationship to the 20% increase in the overall housing market. I then checked to see if the 2023 componentized values set by the assessor were relatively close to the market values. I relied on 4 sources. I found only one of the components on page 4 is similar to the market value. Multiple regression analysis is used determining the components' values, and it's important to also validate the results. Something has gone very wrong with the calculations this year. I cannot buy in to the assessor's conclusion that by using multiple regression analysis, a typical buyer values basements 66% less in 23 than in 21. And I can't buy into the conclusion that the typical buyer values garages 133% more in 2023 than in 2021. To quote an article, written by the Appraisal Institute, quote, "Statistical methods are powerful tools in summarizing and describing data. Unfortunately, they are easily and frequently misused. Abuse falls in 2 categories: overt attempts to mislead and ignorance." I believe something went very wrong with the multiple regression analysis calculations for the component values of the houses. And the calculations this year failed because the results were not even close to the market values, and there's no relationship to the 20% increase in the overall housing market. I believe the component values were arbitrarily set. My guess is that they were set to satisfy a statistical requirement by the state. And it's clear to me that more values are arbitrarily set from page 4, but I don't have time to discuss that. I looked at 500 houses in my area, and I found that these componentized errors created both low and high assessed values. I found there were far more houses benefiting from these errors than those that don't. Some of the low values were as much as 80% of market value, while the high values were above 100% of market value. We know homeowners who benefited are not going to protest. But even if the homeowners with high assessed values protest, it will still not be fair. This is because the homeowners with high assessed values will end up paying more in taxes unfairly in 2 ways. Their assessed value is higher as a percentage of their market compared to the low assessed homes, and assuming the same amount of taxes that have to be collected for the county, the low assessed homes will lower the total assessed values for the county, and that will make the mill levy go up in order to compensate for the lower values. Because the components of the house are not fairly valued, fairness can only be accomplished by first raising the low assessed values for the homeowners that benefited from the arbitrary values, and second, allowing discounts for the homeowners that are overassessed. Doing one without the other is unfair. There are currently 4 statistical groups in the valuation area. Increasing the number of statistical groups is a start, but it will help to show discrepancies in data, but it will not fix arbitrarily setting the component values. That needs to stop. In emails and discussions with the assessor's office, I was told the 2021 assessed values were too low. If 2021 values are wrong, what does that have to do with arbitrarily setting the 2023 values? Do we need to go back and reassess 2021 as well? I was also told by the assessor's office that when choosing a comparable, a weighted calculation is done, and if the calculation results over 100 points, the comparable is not chosen. Well, I found many comparable homes that exceed 100 points. This shows the assessor's office violates their own rules. We asked 5 times to meet in person with the assessor's office. We got multiple responses of email us, And the last response we received from Dan Nolte stated, the assessed values can no longer be changed, so you'll need to file an individual protest. They didn't want to meet with us. At this point, I'm questioning whether the county assessor's office committed negligence or fraud. The Webster's Dictionary defines fraud as is not what it seems or is represented to be. I'm questioning most of the component values as being not marked market-derived amounts, which is what is being represented. And when the final market value was computed for every home, the assessor's office multiplied every home by 92% in 2023 instead of the 96% in 2021, thus bringing down all calculated market values. When I asked why the change was made, the answer was, that's what the market needed. No, the component values were inaccurate as a percentage and had to be manipulated too. That's number 9 on page 4. How do the authoritative rulings protect the taxpayers? I lost all trust in the assessor's office being able to produce fair and equitable assessments. I'm asking you, step back for a moment and see if the component... What?
1 minute.
Oh, okay. Most homeowners do not understand the details of how their house was over or undervalued. So I ask this. If a homeowner protests and wants the same discount from market value that his or her neighbor is getting because of the arbitrary values are unfair, and assuming the neighbor's house has been off the market for the 2-year Turk period, will you grant the homeowner the same discount?
Thank you for your comments, and when we have public comment, we typically don't respond in the moment.
Okay.
That is our policy. But thank you for bringing this information. And does the clerk's office need a copy of your documents?
And after the meeting adjourns, I'd like to speak with you, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting through the long meeting as well. And we'll need to, yeah. I guess we don't need to swear anybody in because it's not a public hearing.
I've got some handouts that I want to talk about halfway through the meeting. Do you want them now, or?
You could give them to us now, and then we'll have them when you can just speak right through them then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. My name is Richard Oxley, and my past history is I spent 16 years as a CFO for a Fortune 500 at the unit level of a Fortune 500 company. After that, I changed companies, and I was the vice president of finance and administration, which covered the responsibilities for all financial areas, the computer areas, personnel, and purchasing. After that, I moved to Lincoln in 1998, set up LLC, and have been doing consulting until I retired about 14 years ago. Since moving to Lincoln, I've spent quite a bit of time looking at the assessor's information and helping people and that. It was, in my opinion, pretty well run over the years. In 2021, I protested my own house because the valuations were not in line with what they should have been. There's 3 like houses, 2 of them within 100 feet of my house, and that all 3 of our houses are very like houses. One of the houses across the street was significantly lower than anybody's, than the other 2. It has always been higher than ours. And the reason being was the selection of the comparables. They had 3 comparables in that selection, every one of them very, very low. This put the price basically $55,000 lower than a house behind me that was a smaller house but had very high comparables. The comparables, it's quite obvious when you look at it and run the numbers that the comparables that they chose were done to make the average square foot of the comparables agree closely with the subject house. They were within one square foot, 1 to 2 square foot. That's not a good metric to judge whether and how to price houses. And that, anyway, I then started trying to look into the situation. I pulled out of the assessor's office the downloadable advice that you could get, and I was really surprised that the information there was, and this was in 2021, valuation. The information there was extremely different, and different because of the lack thereof of information that's needed to price your house. The things that were missing, it didn't have the codes of what they were pricing, and it also didn't have the coefficients. And without the code, well, you can get the codes, but you can't get the coefficients in that. And before, you could always rely on that form to get such. I, first of all, called down to the assessor's office, and they basically told me that we don't know, we don't have a list. Not acceptable. So the next step is I put together a list of all the components that I needed and asked for the coefficients and that in an email that I sent to Mr. Ogden at the time. And then about 2 days later, I got a call from Derek Niederklein. And Mr. Niederklein was very, very good in working with me and getting me the information. He first of all, however, sent me a write-up on what I thought was their name of their software, Turn a Century. Turns out to be it was our area, I found out later. But okay, let's talk about the forms then. The very first one you have on there is from 2009. The 2009 is a very good report. It's very transparent, gives you all the information you need in order to price your house and compare it to others. Down towards the bottom, they've got additional significant information, and then they've got the adjustments and the price of the coefficients that you could lift off and do. Like I say, it was a very good report. I wish it was still that way. The next sheet back is the report from 2021. Absolutely no information on here that will help you prove that the price of your house is correct or incorrect. It lacks total information on what the codes are. It has no coefficients on it. It's basically, in my opinion, a worthless sheet. Doesn't do much for you. You can't do much with it.
That is your time, sir.
Can I have just one more minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
The next sheet is something that I worked up, and it could replace that comp sheet. And it shows you exactly what code's in there, what the coefficients are, and it ties into the valuation that the assessor's office puts in it. Most important thing is it gives you the cost per square foot of your non-priced features. And if that number is not the same on all like houses, you've got error. So I think they ought to be running something like this, whether that's an adjunct report they can put out. I did this on my Excel program. Very easy to do. They could do it on a mass program and give you this information. And in closing, I would say one of the problems I've seen back in the 2021 is the incredible error they created in the house that was low priced and that should have been turned over, should have turned up. With the high inflation we had, and in 4 years his house went up 7%. It's ridiculous, and it should have been found, should have been looked for. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, and again, we don't respond to these, but we have received your information, and I appreciate that.
I would move that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Louder,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.